Hello and welcome to this week's video email, How a Filing Problem Became an Existential Crisis. The older I get, the more I realise that those horribly overwhelming tasks I put off for as long as humanly possible sometimes turn out to be surprisingly fascinating. If I can only get past the psychological stubbornness of, I don't want to do it. In my younger days, it would have been learning all those never-ending piano scales and arpeggios. They stretched so far beyond my psychological horizons that it was a mammoth job to get myself to sit down and even tackle one or two, even of the easy ones. I have to shamefully admit that I still carry that trait now, and for some months, actually that's not true, I should have written years there, it has been preventing me from cataloguing my vast library of original songs that I composed and used throughout my own teaching career. The thing is, I still have ex-colleagues and peers of peers of peers who occasionally ask me if they can have a copy of this or that song. And each time it means conducting a computer search for the title and keeping my fingers crossed that the song turns up. This is a dreadful thing for me to admit. My previous digital filing systems have been held together largely by hope. However, I've spent the week embracing my reluctance and am now in the throes of preparing a batch of songs to upload to the website. As you can imagine, this mountain of a project has been fraught with digital frustrations. The biggest challenge, however, has been tagging, which sounds incredibly dull until you start doing it. Most people don't wake up thinking, today I'm going to spend an awful lot of time creating a taxonomy. In fact, until recently, I don't think I'd ever used the word. What I thought I was doing was organising songs for my website, but what I soon discovered was that I was having to make considered decisions about what matters. When I began tagging my 72 song catalogue, it seemed straightforward enough. I needed categories so that teachers would be able to find the songs more easily. But very quickly, the questions became more complicated. Should a song be tagged with listening? Well, what kind of listening? Listening to the music? Listening to instructions? Listening for your turn? Those turned out to be very different things, so I ended up creating a distinction between musical listening and attentive listening. Then another question popped up. What exactly are children primarily doing when they take part in a song? Are they learning rhythm, timing, anticipation, pattern recognition, musical memory? And before long, it wasn't simply organising songs. It became a series of challenges related to understanding what was actually happening when children experience each and every song. One of the biggest surprises for me was realising that every category reflects a value. Up to this point, I imagined I'd be happily slapping almost any old tag onto a song and moving on. Instead, I found myself becoming unexpectedly conscientious. If I didn't create a sincere profile for each song, then the songs themselves would become far less helpful to the people I most want to support through using them. I begrudgingly realised I needed to create a taxonomy, a classification system, that would be useful for teachers, while also remaining authentic and true to the songs themselves. I started by focusing entirely on the traditional music curriculum language: beat, rhythm, tempo, dynamics, pitch, listening with concentration, and so on. But that didn't seem to capture the whole picture. Many of the songs also help children develop a sense of belonging, a desire to participate and communicate, whilst encouraging empathy and self-expression. So I had to add those into the mix. And then something else emerged. I realised that some of the most interesting musical skills weren't fully acknowledged by those already sitting under the curriculum umbrella. I found myself creating labels such as musical timing, starting, stopping, or responding at the appropriate moment within the structure of a song. Musical responsiveness, adapting actions, movements, or responses to changing musical ideas, characters, instructions, or stimuli. Musical patterning, recognising, predicting, and responding to recurring musical patterns, sequencing, and structures. Moving to the beat, coordinating physical movement with the pulse of the music. It became increasingly apparent that I wanted to use more than abstract curriculum labels. I wanted the tags to describe what children actually do within each song. And I think, in a way, that this taxonomy has become a reflection of the Diversitybuds philosophy running through all our work. Not diversity as decoration, and not musical learning as a collection of isolated skills. Although I do appreciate, just like scale learning, that these become increasingly important as children get older. But music as participation, as listening, as belonging, as noticing patterns, as children responding to themselves and others, and perhaps most importantly, music as a way of understanding ourselves and the world around us. I never expected a website tagging project to lead me into questions about philosophy, values and assumptions, but perhaps that's inevitable. Every system reveals what we value, and I realised I wanted every tag to tell its own story. So, I wonder, what might your own systems be saying about you this week? I'm off to find some light relief. I might even go and practice some scales now. Wishing you a great week ahead. Many thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.